activating because it wasn't. I was trying to activate it too soon. It only activates
right,
like
sorry.
in battle mode or whatever. Anyway.
Sorry, I feel terrible. Craig, sorry. We were discussing in the background, but hey everybody, we're gonna hear Craig's story. Craig is telling us a story here. Hello everyone that's here tonight. Welcome. This is the this flipping out stream. We do this every Wednesday night. Tonight we're going to do a flipping out with friends. It's been a little while since we did one of these, so I was super appreciative. Zach and Nicole let me borrow an Elton John, so we streamed that the last 2 nights. If you do notice, it is gone. Elton John is gone. That was literally a show game. It was like a show sample. It was posted all in the back and whatnot. So Zach took that back. I think he's going to do some filming with it. If you haven't watched those streams, those were a ton of fun. The last one we actually had Bill Grupp, the lead programmer on that game, so definitely check that out. But hey, if you're here tonight, if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, leave a comment, thumbs up, subscribe, all the fun things. But if you're here live, I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. G Money's here, Conti's here, Finshiro, how we doing? Jamie P, wonderful, love it. So tonight's going to be a good night. We've got a great group of guys to talk, to chat it up. So yeah, let's go ahead and introduce those fellas. So you probably heard Craig a little bit. Craig, you were in the middle. You were in the middle of a story when I realized it was 10 o'clock and we had to go live. But yeah, do our normal introduction. Who you are, what do you do, and what was the last game of pinball you played? And Craig, if you want to just finish your story too, you can do that.
I'm not even sure it was a good one. I can't even remember what I was saying.
Yeah.
Well, hello everybody.
Yeah.
Craig Bobby. I do the top stories on the world famous and most popular, right, Dennis? Podcast, pinball podcasts in all of pinball podcast kingdoms.
Yeah, numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. And so yes, that is on the Pinball Show with Dennis Kriesel, of course, and Zach Meny. And so I actually did something I haven't done in a long time. Well, I guess not since Expo, which was to play games on location in the city of Toronto that I live in. And so I was able to go and play at a place in downtown Toronto called Meeple Mart, which is a funny name for an arcade, but it's actually a place that sells mostly board games and paraphernalia, figurines and all sorts of stuff. It's massive. Anyway, they actually have about 20 games in the basement of this game store, and the owner has a lot of premium or limited edition machines. So I was able to play some variants on machines that I hadn't played before, such as the Stranger Things Premium. He had a Tron LE with all of the lit ramps and stuff like that. So I really got a good sense of a lot of these games. And I'm going to tell you what I noticed was some of my overreaching thoughts about this. And I know it's hard when you're playing games to really get a sense of them unless you're playing, 30, 40, 50 games to really get into them. But what I was struck by was actually how amazing Godzilla is compared to a lot of the other games, just in terms of pure layout, right? In terms of being interesting, shot paths and I found that when I played Iron Maiden versus, say, a game like GTF, which he had the tank version there. So I got to play that for the first time, even though they had it at Expo. I didn't have a chance to play it. So it was just interesting to me just to kind of, play a wide variety of games, from the late 90s up through modern day Stearns. And just to understand, how good certain machine was. I still really like Stranger Things. I still think it's a fun shooting game with that Demigorgon ramp.
Rawr. Nice.
It can't be beat.
Yeah.
It can't be defeated.
Great. Yeah.
But anyway, so it's just fun to get out, and the bottom line is it is fun to get out, experience other games. The one thing I didn't like about being on location, I hate not being able to hear the games clearly, because I really think a lot is lacking when you can't hear all of the sound effects, all the call outs. I found that was really lacking at Expo, especially when you're talking about a game like Pulp Fiction that I really wanted to like, but actually was quite underwhelmed with when I was there. I think a lot for that reason, because so much of that game is in the movie callouts, and I just couldn't hear them well enough. I had literally my head against the speaker panel as Joel was playing or other people in our group were playing, just so I could hear what the hell was happening, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, lots of fun though to get out there, and I know we'll be talking a lot about our thoughts about the various games nominated for TWIPYs and stuff. So anyway, happy to be here, guys. This is it's always a ton of fun. Thanks, Joel, for having me.
Absolutely. A few quick comments to what you said. First off, Godzilla. Godzilla, the Stern. If you care about Stern Insider badges, they're doing 12 days of kaiju. That starts today. And one of them is you have to play 12 days in a row. So if you happen to be watching this at home, you know, Dennis, if you need to get up and go play your game real quick, but if you, the idea, you
12 days,
12 days, 12 days of, and one of them is you have to do it all 12 days. So that includes tonight. That would be today. So if you happen to be watching this, if you need to get up real quick, Craig, and play a quick game.
All right, I'm going to do it while you guys are talking.
All right, just go ahead and mute yourself. You just need to play a quick, even just a 3-ball game, boom, boom, boom. But
exactly.
some of the badges are like, you know, play 5 out of the 12 days. One of them I think is some of them deal with like cumulative score, so it's score a certain amount of points over all the games you play. The main one, to get the main Godzilla badge, you have to have a cumulative score of 25 million points. So for Mike, that'll be like 3 games, but for everybody else, that will be a grind. That would be something.
Million or billion?
It's 25 billion. Sorry.
Oh, billion. Okay.
25
billion.
In total? Okay. I have to look this up.
A child could get 25 million.
Okay. So I can pull it up right here. So these are screenshots I took of so here we go. Jet Jaguar scan. You have to play 5 days between the 20th and 25th. Between the 20th and the 31st. Megalon is just any one game over 20 million. Ebera is you have to play 10 times between the 20th and the 31st. So just 10 individual games.
That could take a long time.
Just 10 games.
10 games could take a long time.
It could, yes. Hedera is you have to get a cumulative score of over 175 million. So that should be achievable for most people in just one game. Scan and play a Godzilla game. This is Titanosaurus 10 times in a single day. Anguirus is you have to have a score of over 150 million in one game. So the other one was 175 cumulative. This 150 in one game. Gigan is 5 times after 5 p.m. on any day. Then Rodan is 20 times, so you have to do 20 games over the course of 12 days. Then there's one of a cumulative score of 2 billion. That's Mechagodzilla. Mothra is one game over 500 million. And then Ghidorah, that's the one I was saying, is you have to do 12 days in a row. So that's all 12 days. That's how you get Ghidorah.
And when were the dates?
It starts today.
Oh, damn. I got to get in on Godzilla.
20th to the 31st. So if while we're doing intros, if everybody starting to do their
I may need to go start a game on that.
Yeah.
Just
3 balls real quick. And then the last one, Godzilla, is scan into any Godzilla game and get a cumulative score of 25 billion points. So you would hope if you're playing. So if you own a Godzilla, this is definitely achievable, but you got to remember to do it. And it starts today. So hopefully you can get your game in. But I just want
to I don't need to have that app installed, and I can just home team in.
Yeah, home team's incredible. You got to just add your games to home team, and then I could just go ahead. I could mute my game, and I could roll through my 10 games right here, just sitting at it, plunging the ball if you care. But that's a quick announcement. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube after the fact, sorry you missed. You're gonna miss Ghidorah, because that's 12 out of 12 days. Everything else you should be able to achieve, no problem. So quick interruption, but yeah, we'll keep rolling around. Dennis, go ahead, do your intro, por favor.
Oh, hi, I'm Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thank you for being here.
I do things. I talk about watches.
Yeah. Watches with Dennis, and then Dennis, what was the last game of pinball you played?
Sinbad.
Nice, very cool. I do want to shill something real quick, Dennis. I've been thinking of you today because I got
oh yes, baby.
That's such a creepy shirt.
I won that. I won that by commenting on a pinball show.
That you were able to win sounds corrupt.
Yeah, I reached out to Zach. I was like, apparently I won, man. I forget what I commented. Oh, it was what was my favorite dentist? It was on your birthday. What was my favorite dentist quote? And I was trying to remember. I don't even remember what I said, but it was worth it. It was worth it. So
okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're happy.
I'm glad that you're a part of this, even though you don't want to be. So thank you, Dennis. Thanks for being here.
I know I'm always your last resort when you can't find enough people.
That's not true. That's not true.
It's mostly true.
What I will say is surprising is because this Pockets had it on afterwards. The legs are there. He did not skip out.
No,
it's the full body. The full body's there, even though you don't even see the boots and spurs.
So they didn't go cheap on the ink for the print. Nothing.
No, it's the full thing's there, which is pretty great. So
Zach takes his shirt orders exceedingly seriously. It's actually pretty scary. We're still dealing with our paywall polos because he was struggling to find a place that could do a good embroidery.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, cool. Well, Dennis, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Mike, go ahead.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm Mike from Pinballers. You can check us out on Twitch, streaming sporadically these days, and on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff. And the last game I played actually wasn't anything in my collection. I was at a friend's house on the weekend, and he picked up a Godfather CE.
Okay.
The one with the gold bits all over it and everything, and it was something to look at. But I did get to play. I mean, it was appropriate for the theme, I guess, but it was definitely not required. It was. Yeah, so I got to play some games on that. The topper was really cool. I don't know if you guys was the topper on the LE as well, or it's not. No. But did they have CEs? Did they have CEs at any of the shows?
Yeah, the CEs. But I think
they did at Texas. I
think they had the coils turned off though. I don't ever remember hearing it go off.
I can see why they would do that. This was in a small basement. Like he has 6 games in his collection, and that going off all the time. Definitely loud in that small little area, right?
Sure.
So I could see having to turn that off, but it was on, and I enjoyed the game. I didn't get much of a grasp for the rules with the handful of games that I played because it's pretty deep. The one thing I found was like mostly trying to figure out where the shots would lead to with all the diverters and whatnot. Right? You hit something, wondering where it's going to come back, and the thing that surprised me the most was. I think it's the right ramp hitting that up and then the ball coming down the wire form and then up the in lane, hitting that stand up and then rolling back down. How fast that is. It's faster than a ball coming down the in lane on its own. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't prepared for that. So I enjoyed the game. I think I'd like to spend some more time on it. I don't think I'd ever want to own it. It's just it's not a theme that's great for me or anything, but yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's we streamed it and it was really nice. It was almost mandatory to have Eric Minier on the show because it's just one of those games, and that's kind of one of my complaints with a lot of JJP games is it's almost impossible to figure the game out on your own. Like the complexity of the game is so deep. And the other thing is the light show. Normally in certain games, a light show is incredibly good at communicating the path to take, but there's so much light, like the light show's so constant on JJP games that it's really hard to focus on what's actually changed color based on where you're at or the modes. And then if it's a Kiefer code, everything stacks. So
yes, like the multi-ball stacking on the multi-balls and like you can start like offers in the middle of multi-balls or something like that. Or I don't know, something jobs.
You can start jobs and
so I was doing that. I was actually the very first game I played. The skill shot has like the 2 little gates that you can pass. You can go into one and then go into the second one.
Yep.
I plunged the second one twice in a row and started a multi-ball before I even flipped, right? And it was like the compound multi-ball, I guess, or something. So like you can choose all the different skill shots, which is really cool. There is a lot of multi-balls. I noticed the stacking in the game as well.
There's a
So,
lot.
yeah,
It's a
no, I
ton
enjoyed it.
there. Yeah, my overall review of Godfather, and we can definitely talk about this later when we get to that particular thing in TWIPYs is the game. If you're a Godfather fan, they did the Godfather the movie justice. There's no denying
Yeah.
that. I also do like the way it shoots. The diverters and everything in it, though, they'll surprise you. Like, it takes a little while. If you're only going to put 1 or 2 games on Godfather ever on location, there's a chance you're going to drain pretty quick because the ball's going to divert in a way you're not expecting. But once you learn that, and then do yourself a favor, either watch our stream with Eric Minier and have him explain the game, or watch a Carl D'Angelo that understands that game
Oh my
to the
God!
point
Didn't
where
he get
he,
a trillion or something?
yeah, he's trying to stack everything and build it all together to do some crazy things in it. So, but it's a challenging game to learn, and that's pretty normal for JJP games in my opinion. Besides Toy Story was pretty easy to understand, and then honestly, Elton John was very easy to understand, very approachable. And yeah, I normally when I have somebody on, even like a Dwight Sullivan with Venom, or even a Ray Day with Foo Fighters, it's like, give me one stream and my brother and I could probably get a good grasp, but maybe we feel we know like 50% of the rules, and then the designer's going to take us that much deeper. Honestly, when I had Bill Grupp on, what I realized afterwards is I had about 90% of the rules. It was just that last little bit that Bill filled in. And so that, I think that says a lot about Elton John, that it actually communicates things well, and it's a little easier to understand what's going on. And they did not do the normal JJP thing of stack everything. Let's focus on multipliers. Let's do this. It's just more just play the song, hit the shots, and then pursue multi-ball. Like, that's kind of what you're doing. So
I didn't mind it, but
You're good.
Just finishing off with the Godfather. Yeah, it's to me it is, and in the handful of games I've played so far, it's probably the best game in my opinion since Dialed In.
Okay, for JJP, yeah, I will give you that. But I will say
you haven't played Elton John though.
That's the thing.
Played Elton John, Mike.
I've watched you play it, but I have not played it myself. So.
I would say,
it's better.
and we'll talk about it, but I would say Elton John is now universally my favorite JJP game. But with that said, if I was to own a game, I'd still be tempted to get Hobbit back. I really enjoyed Hobbit, and I know Dennis disagrees. But
it was fun though, Joel.
Yeah.
Like to have you there, and like, we played it at Expo one night, and I enjoyed it much more having somebody who knows the rules and who was like, really into it, into the experience. It was much more fun. Having that.
I think that's honestly the right answer for every JJP game. If you can step up to a JJP game with somebody that knows the rules, and they can. But maybe that's true about almost any pinball machine, but JJP more than others. Like, I really need somebody to stand there and hold my hand for a little while and explain what's going on. But, well, cool. Yeah. Well, Mike, one last question for you, just because this makes me very happy. You've had turtles in your collection now for a while. And
I've had it since spring.
When you got it originally, this was just, let's fart around on this for a little bit.
Yeah,
but it's still here. You want to
elaborate?
Still here. Yeah, you want to elaborate on that a tiny bit?
It is still here. It is still
here.
Didn't you
have it for sale, Mike? Were you trying to sell it?
I gotta say, I took I'm gonna say a 179 degree turn on it. Right, a 179. Actually, no, it's really good. It's still right now is one of the games I play the most. I actually sent a picture in chat of the most expensive mod I've ever bought, which is for the turtles. So I mean, that goes to show how much I'm actually enjoying the game. I really enjoyed the game. The speed of the game is really, really good. I thought maybe the music would annoy me eventually, but it really doesn't. I actually like the sound, the callouts. They're fresh and different.
Yep.
So I still like to walk up to the game and try different turtles and mess around with the different perks and stuff like that when you have your maxed out turtles and whatnot. So, I'm actually still really, really having fun with it. And it's going to stick around for a while.
That's
Definitely,
awesome.
for now. Yeah.
So I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy for liking turtles. That's all I need you to tell me.
No, it took me a long time because I did crap all over it, but it was really like when the game first came out.
Yeah.
I played it in my friend's garage because the distributor loaned him the game for an event that he had. So it was like that was my only experience with it, and I just didn't click with me then. And between then and now, I didn't play much before actually getting the game, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to plunge, take it, see what happens. So
yeah, and you like challenging games, like Black Knight Sword of Rage is one of your
yeah, I do. And you know, it's like I've gotten to Final Battle a few times in the game. I've gotten close to Cowabunga, but that's the ultimate goal now. It's just trying to get to Cowabunga. I think I was like a triple Mondo
jackpot,
jackpot or something away from it. But yeah, it's great. It's good. It's fun to chase that kind of stuff. So I'm enjoying it. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I asked you that because I knew what you're gonna say, and I just wanted to hear it again. Yeah, because man, I like turtles. So I think that's it for intros. Yeah, my name is Joel. I do the Flipping Out stream. Last game I played was Godzilla because I went ahead and got my achievement on that. Before that, though, I was really playing a lot of Elton John. Zach picked Elton John up yesterday, and I was playing that almost every day because I knew I wasn't going to have it much. But that's a fun game. It's a fun game. I think anybody that likes Elton John or has one on order, you're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it. But it does feel to be the most shallow. I say that it says that sounds really bad, but I never got bored of the code. I never felt like I saw all the code. Like Toy Story. People complain that Toy Story feels shallow but maybe that's just because when you get to, the carousel mode, that's only halfway, and then you just do it all again, and then that's how you get to the final wizard mode. This, I definitely did not see all the game. There's a lot there that was left untouched just because my skill level can't get to it. But it's just a fun game to go down there and rock out to. And I mean, it falls in line with other music pins like GNR or Led Zeppelin of just, if you just want to go down and rock out and have a good time, these do the trick. Then you have certain music pins like Rush, where you can go down and rock out, but the complexity of the code and the things that you have that, you can really you can almost ignore the music and get really locked in on just the code and the complexity of it. That's what's kind of neat about Rush. And then Foo Fighters feels like a mode-based storytelling game that just happens to have Foo Fighter music playing in the background. Not Elton John. Elton John is Elton John. Every bit of it. The light show, the animations, the sound package, everything, it's Elton John all the time. And so if you love Elton John, you're going to love the pin.
I definitely want to give that a shot.
Yeah.
It's fun.
For sure.
It's fun.
Well, cool.
Looks
well,
nice.
I think we dive straight into TWIPY stuff. I don't know how long this is going to take, so we might as well dive in right now. And then there are a few other things I want to cover if we have more time. But yeah, so here we go. TWIPYs. If you are unfamiliar to this, you're going to go to TWIPYs.com, and then you're going to do vote 2023. Do it if you want. Do it if you don't want to do. There are some people looking at this as, with all the stuff and the drama that's happened over the last few weeks, some people are boycotting it. Other people are whatever. So guess what? You don't have to vote for all of it. So if you want to just vote for the best games and support the games, do it and ignore all the votes after that. Whatever, you do you. But to me, I think this is a fun exercise. I've played almost every one of these games, so I'm excited to kind of do some critical thinking here and see how they all rank up. But yeah, go on here, TWIPYs.com, give it a shot. Andrew Dorn, is the media back in? Not really. There's one category, which is favorite media creator or favorite content creator. That's it. Everything else is already, there are certain media creators or content creators that are done. It's like once you win it, you've won it. And so it's almost like a Hall of Fame. So like straight down the middle, Bez won it. Canada's won it.
Yeah.
TWIP is
what I thought was funny though, Joel, about that, and we'll see when we get there. There's like a bazillion. Like,
it's everybody.
It feels like anybody who's anybody
it's
is
everybody
on this damn thing.
Technically,
like the ballot is massive.
Technically, I'm competing against myself. Flipping out streams in there and Triple Drains in there. I'm competing against myself. It's like everything's in there. Dennis is in there for the pinball show with Zach.
Like, good
but
luck
Zach's
trying to
already won
find
with
who
straight
you
down the middle.
want.
So it
Yeah.
is what it is, and do with it what you want. But here we go. So here is
It's the people's choice.
Here is
It
the
people's choice.
PowerPoint that everybody loves seeing. I tried to step it up. I tried to step it up for this. So we're going to work our way through here. So I've only added the games that are in the drop down for each one of these categories. So certain games don't qualify. So if you look here, like on this one, best rules, we have Birdwatcher and Dungeon Door Defender. Those are 2 P3 games. Those don't qualify as best theme. I don't necessarily, but so there are things that you will see some added in there.
Why do you not like birds?
So I don't know. So
Dungeon Door
I
Defender.
actually know the developer of that game.
So this is my goal for this discussion is not for me to put what I am voting. I don't think that makes sense. Because then it's like, hey, Craig, Mike, and Dennis, tell me I'm wrong. Like, that's not really it. So I kind of want to talk here on maybe what do we agree on, or what do we agree should be the top 3, and we'll throw them in from there. We'll see how this works. So best theme. So my view on this, and tell me if I'm wrong, but this is what is the best theme for pinball, right? Because otherwise we can do this very scientifically, right? I mean, we could determine who gets, like, I'm guessing we could go to Foo Fighters' Facebook page and see how many followers they have, and then go to Marvel's page and Scooby. Like, I don't know. Is there a way that you could go through and count what theme here is the most popular? I don't know.
It's going to be Tank Force. Definitely more.
It's Galactic
followers
Tank
than-
Force, yes.
And Bond, yeah, for sure. And then more followers than all the other.
So for the audio listeners, we got Labyrinth, Galactic Tank Force, Foo Fighters, Venom, Scooby-Doo, Final Resistance, Bond 60th, Drained, Queen, Punny Factory. This is Spinal Tap. This is the picture of Spinal Tap.
Oh, okay.
Elton John and Godfather. So I tried to get all their translates. That's what I did. So honestly, I'm going to do this, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but Drained, is a vampire. That's a no-go, right? We're okay with that.
I don't see how original themes win best
So
theme.
Vampire,
maybe you could argue integration, but
Punny Factory's gone. I love you, Scott Denisi, but Final Resistance is gone, in my opinion. And even Galactic Tank Force, I just don't. I'm sorry.
that lunchbox had come out on time.
Yeah.
Saying that, I will say that Galactic Tank Force would be my number 1 of the 4 you just deleted.
Original themes.
Yes.
Sure. I can give you that.
Okay.
I can give you that. So now, what do we want to do here? What do we feel? What do we feel is, how do we play this game? When it comes to the pinball buying community, or do we look at it as which theme is going to have the biggest draw to people on location? I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Does
Yeah,
anybody
that's
have thoughts on how do you rank these?
I think each of us probably comes at it a different way. I normally think about it from a buyer perspective.
Okay.
So, like, for me, Scooby-Doo is my number 1. I kind of talked about this with Zach on the pinball show, and it's because I think it's very family friendly and it strikes a huge nostalgia vibe. So I just think, like, it's a really safe play in a lot of ways. It's very well known. Not really a lot of people hate Scooby-Doo. They might hate Scrappy, but they don't hate Scooby-Doo as a theme. So, and Scrappy ain't in it. So I just think it's it strikes all the right balances, with, like, my number 2 would probably have been Labyrinth in that list, and I hadn't even thought about a 3. But.
So, okay, let's do this. So music pins. Music would be these 4 on the bottom. If we have to pick which of these 4, Spinal Tap, even though it's a movie, but do we count it as movie? Do we don't? Maybe we include that in the category as Labyrinth.
Yeah, it's because it's a fake band.
That would be more of a musical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a band pin,
mockumentary.
But a musical.
Yeah. Maybe we look at it this way. So between these 3 music pins, which one is the best music for pinball? Because I think we could probably I think we could get very specific here on concert tickets or albums sold, I would guess Queen sold more than Foo Fighters. I don't know. I don't know.
I would guess Elton John would
Elton John has sold more?
outdo both of them, maybe.
But maybe that's the question. Which one of these? Because I will say, looking at people, to me, it seems like there are a lot more, like, in the pinball community, there are a lot more Foo Fighters fans, like I'm in, than there were Elton John.
Right. So you're going just strictly on fans of whatever the theme is about, then. That's.
I mean, how do we interpret this, right?
Originally, you said, what is the best theme for pinball? Yeah. So that's why Dennis had gone with the Scooby-Doo, right?
Well, I was trying to divide this out on if we pick music, if we pick a top music, and then if we pick a top movie, like I do think Labyrinth does a better job for pinball than Spinal Tap does. But then at the same time, is Bond a bigger license than Labyrinth?
Yes. I mean, it's got more fans, right?
Yeah, and I think
because
Godfather,
Bond 60th is all the movies. It's every Bond.
So I think Godfather. I do not think Godfather is a better theme for pinball than Labyrinth.
No,
I don't know why you didn't delete Godfather out of this.
Okay, so we're deleting that. And I think Spinal Tap. I think it's too. Would you delete
Spinal Tap's better than I think a lot of people might want to give. They're thinking home pin, and it's poison in the well.
Okay. They're associating it. They're associating it with home pin, and unfortunately, it's getting a.
So delete or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my problem with Spinal Tap as a theme is I think it's way too old as a cult classic to stand up against some of these other options.
So we'll leave it.
Yep.
But this is where I'm saying is I'm in agreement with you, Dennis. I think if I think biggest universal theme, like I don't know many people that hate Scooby-Doo, and I don't personally know a Scooby-Doo collector or anything like that. But this is definitely a theme that I know could fit in my house and would make my dad happy and my children happy. Like this is, I agree. I think Scooby-Doo is probably the best theme for pinball because I know people that hate Foo Fighters and I know people that don't care for Elton John or Queen. And then Bond, my kids don't care about Bond. I don't know. I agree. I think unless you guys want to tell me I'm wrong, I think Scooby-Doo is the number one, personally. Do you disagree, Mike or Craig?
Well, if I'm thinking objectively and not thinking like just popularity of the theme itself, I'm thinking Labyrinth is the best theme for pinball.
So, well, maybe that's the question because I just saw
just based on what the movie has in it and what the movie is about and the sci-fi and all that stuff. To me, that would be my number one because that sort of fills all the fantasy stuff and
that's what I'm saying.
It matches to me more than Scooby-Doo even would because Scooby-Doo is just a cartoon that you used to watch when you were a kid, right?
So Cell Processing said World Under Glass. So are we actually, because I feel like the Pinball Awards, we phrase this differently.
Yeah, so it's like, are we just picking theme? We don't care if the game plays well. We don't care anything about the game other than what the theme is and how it relates to pinball. But in order to have it relate to pinball, does it not have to feel like you're playing in that world
that's a good
as well?
Question. Like, so maybe I'm okay with
shifting. I didn't remember
shifting.
having this category for the Pinball Award. I know if
theme
we debated
it, right?
If we debated it, I argued against it because I think this is a terrible category.
I believe theme integration, getting more specific with theme integration, then you can get into more of not just a popularity contest about which theme is better, but also into the game and the game itself and how the game feels thematically with the theme chosen for that layout,
Okay, then let's do this. When it comes, we're going to do this twice, essentially. So what do we think is the best theme? Don't care what the pinball machine is. What do we think the best theme is for pinball? I personally think it's Scooby-Doo. I agree. Probably the next biggest theme is probably James Bond, in my opinion. And then, I don't know.
Man, what would be the next one? Venom? I mean, it's Marvel.
I think Venom is just so niche.
A little bit, eh?
I don't know. If we just do straight theme, what's going to be the most approachable or accessible by people? Because Labyrinth is so cult classic. that there's a lot of people that don't. I don't
sort
know.
of under the same sort of thing as Spinal Tap. Maybe a little more popular with David Bowie and stuff like that. And the movie is still popular today, but not as popular as it was.
Okay.
I don't know how big it would be now. I mean, if we're talking now, even Elton John is not a big theme now.
Well,
I would have to go Foo Fighters if you're talking now.
So let's do this. Honestly, looking at it that way, I don't find very fun. That's what Dennis is saying. It's not. This is not a good category. No. So let's change it instead. Let's change it and voice our opinion on what we think is which pinball machine do we think did the theme the best? The theme.
Is that not one later on?
No.
Theme integration?
There's no theme integration. No. Nope.
Oh.
So I want to treat it as best theme integration. So honestly.
Then my vote changes.
Okay. That's what it should be. Yeah. Definitely changes my vote.
So here's my thing with theme integration. I haven't played Spinal Tap. Unfortunately, I'm going to leave it down here. Bond 60th, I don't feel like I'm playing and experiencing all the different Bonds. I feel like I'm playing a very old, an old game. It's a fun game. The closest thing to feeling or experiencing Bond in Bond 60th is the music. I don't think I'd include that in my top 3. Do you guys agree or disagree with that?
For Bond is not in the top 3.
Okay.
There's no integration. They stuck every movie in it.
Yeah. I do think Scooby-Doo's in the running for theme integration. Yeah. It looks like Scooby. It sounds like Scooby. They have Scooby clips. I do think Scooby-Doo counts. I do think Elton John, like I said earlier, it is Elton John, in my opinion. I do think it's in the running. And I do think Labyrinth is in the running. I do feel like when you play Labyrinth, you're seeing Labyrinth, you're hearing Labyrinth, you're experiencing Labyrinth. That's probably my top 3. Do you guys disagree, or what game do you feel should be in or out?
No, I'm good with those as the top 3.
For theme integration. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, see, the thing for me is like Foo Fighters, while it's a great theme, it's a story about aliens too, right? So when you're talking theme, well, maybe you don't like Foo Fighters, maybe you like the aliens, maybe you don't like the aliens, maybe you like Foo Fighters, maybe you don't care about one or the other. So it's a mixed theme, so it's kind of harder I put that in a top 3. Like I would consider it a top 3, but it's sort of mixed with the theme being a story based.
So,
but I've never played Elton John, so I mean, I can only go by what I've seen.
Ray Day said you can't change the category halfway through. I get it, but at the same, this is my thing. This is it.
Ray
this
Day,
is all it says.
You've said enough, Joel.
That's all it says is best theme.
It's Joel's thing.
You can interpret however you want.
It's Joel's big show. It's flipping out with friends, not flipping out with Ray Day's rules.
I'm curious. Unless somebody wants to tell me somewhere else that explains this category, this is all it says. So in my mind,
it's a terrible category. It's been a bad category ever since the TWIPYs were founded. It was a bad category.
Okay.
Because Star Wars wins every year. Star Wars is there for obvious reasons, because it's always the best theme.
And honestly, I'm surprised. Didn't Bond win last year? So I'm surprised Bond is technically eligible again. I get it, it's a new game, but it's the same theme. So
don't people like always talk about how band themes never win like best theme or best music, because it's just throwing the music of the band, or it's just putting the band art on the game, right? So then you got to take that into account when you're looking at Elton John then, right? You said it screams Elton John, so you're looking at more than just the art, right? You're looking at the whole package.
Honestly, I'm going to put it third, and the reason I'm putting it third is it doesn't GNR was the one that truly feels like you're at a GNR concert. Like it truly feels that way. Elton John, you don't get that concert experience, but it does. There's no distractions. Everything in that game is Elton John. I will just say I would put Labyrinth and Scooby-Doo higher, as in like you are in the world of Scooby-Doo and you are absolutely in the world of Labyrinth when you play those games. So this is harder for me. I'm pretty comfortable having Elton John third. But besides that, maybe I would say these two are tied, and maybe it comes back to my original thought of which one's a better overall theme for pinball, which would probably put me as Scooby-Doo 1, Labyrinth 2. That's kind of how I'm feeling. I don't know. Craig, you've been kind of quiet. What are your?
I'm okay with that.
You're
I'm
okay with
that. Yeah, I don't want to sully the waters any more than they. I agree with Dennis.
Put the Spinal Tap in number 3.
It's like I blame Zach for this if this was his idea back in 1987 when he
I don't know if he'll admit to this one at this stage because I've dogged it for years.
Well, this is an interesting one because you either go real factual and you just start doing which one gets more clicks, which one is a better overall IP, in the world of the world. You either go that direction, just which is the biggest IP, or you gotta which one's the best for pinball, or do you go which one actually is theme integration, even though they left off the word integration? I don't know. So I don't know. Tough one to start out on, but I'm okay with this. As my answer. Best animations in display. If you look, we have new ones on here. So Whirlwind, Total Chaos is on the list here.
They have a poop monster. I want it deleted.
Just for you, Dennis. We will. Why not? I can honestly think the four of us are not going to agree it's a top 3. Even though I like DMD animation, I don't think it's actually DMD style though. I think it's very blocky and cartoony.
You can't do poop with DMD.
The Dungeon Door Defender and Bird Watcher. These are both P3 games. I bet the animations are fine, but do I feel like they're going to make the top 3? I don't. No offense, P3 people. I'm going to delete those. Drain, same thing. No offense, Nick Baldridge. But here we are. So we're kind of back to this group. So, yeah. Any thoughts on this?
Well, kill Spinal Tap there because it's like, what do we do? There's nothing on that thing.
I remember the creator of the game basically said they're playing video clips, but trying to get the video clips to sync with the actions of the game is really hard.
And try and get them to sync. They have I think it's actually playing off the DVD because they're using a dot matrix to display all the stuff that the game's doing, and then there's an LCD just to play clips. It's all it does. It's trash.
All right.
Wow.
So Jobbers here, animations isn't a word. He's pointed this out to me before. Animations isn't a word. Animation is the art form.
I've judged that for years out of the TWIPYs, but no, I actually haven't.
This should be different, is what we're saying. That should be like that.
You can't just change categories.
Okay, well.
Okay. I love Scott Denisi, but the back panel is static.
Yeah.
And so now we're judging the animation on the playfield. All the artwork is static, so it's really just the ball shot moving around. I mean, it looks cool. Don't get me wrong. I like what's going. It fits well, but I'm gonna have to say no. I have to say no on that. And then same with Bond 60th. There's only the display that's on there is essentially blue with white block letters. I'm pretty sure the font is Impact. There's not much there in the tiny display in the middle, so I'm gonna eliminate those. So this is Pony Factory. Yeah, it's not top 3.
I saw a question in the chat, which I hadn't thought about. So did TWIPYs not have Pulp Fiction?
No. So no buyer of Pulp Fiction has received a game, and that's why it does not. It doesn't qualify.
That's a fair rule.
Yeah. Top tier, Steve. How you doing, man?
Crazy that people have labyrinths, but
yeah,
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. No.
Are we really surprised though?
Plenty Picture I'm taking out. Queen, I have played, and I think they have some concert footage, but it's just
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like anything with just video assets from like the movie or concert footage or whatever kind of goes to default out the door for me, with the exception of maybe like, an Elton John that has all the little, is that cool enough to be a display? Because really you're looking at mostly a lot of just live video footage, right?
Yeah. Yep. Okay, just to walk through these real quick. I mean, I will say Foo Fighters it almost looks like everything is hand drawn, cell shaded. I really liked it. I really liked it. Venom, the battles are really well done, but a lot of the other moments in the game, in my opinion, are just kind of an empty seen. So there's some really cool things because it is all hand drawn, or like they all are custom animations.
It feels Avengers like, Avengers was mostly like stills. There's a lot of stuff like that with with the event kind of.
Yep. Yeah, Scooby-Doo, there's a lot in there. But a lot of the animation there it's not new or it's not custom. It's more pulling clips from the show. Galactic Tank Force, I think they brag about having 3 animators. It's everything they do is unique. They have a lot of display and animation. They got a lot of video clips. Steve Bowden in a jet fighter suit.
Mm-hmm.
Elton John, I think, is very well done. Very well done. But it is a lot of still images of Elton John with star wipes to the next image. But it is very well done. Godfather, also very well done.
Yeah.
I really like the UI. They have a lot of movie clips in there. Yeah, and then Labyrinth, they actually have 2 displays. One of them display, video clips galore. I think it's very well done. So these are tough. I would say these are tough. Does anybody want to take a stand on what their top 3 are?
Craig's getting his Godzilla play in.
Godzilla in.
Yeah, man.
I'm really enjoying this Godzilla game. I'm discovering that I can actually play Godzilla sitting down. This is interesting.
Yeah, you don't actually have to play it. It's just plunge 3 balls and it counts as long as you're logged in.
But I'm so amazed I can actually play in that position. It's
I
fun.
will say display and animations almost every year, if JJP has a game in, they win. And it's just because their UI is so well done, 26-inch display, all the things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying about, that's the only exception. Just in my own opinion, like when you're using just, cut footage from other things, it's like stock footage, but they add all that extra stuff around the edge, right?
Yeah.
Like all the information in your game. And of course, it's a bigger display, so it's easier to do that kind of stuff. It's harder to do that on a smaller display like Stern or even Labyrinth had as well.
So here's my honest opinion. My honest opinion here is my top 3 would be Foo Fighters, Elton John, and Godfather. Those are the 3 that I think the UI is JP to win, does such an amazing job with the UI in these 2 games. But I just can't argue Foo Fighters. Almost everything in that game, I think, is hand drawn in some way. And it's fun. Like it just adds a funness to the game. I don't know. That's kind of where I am. Dennis, what do you think, man? What do you think on your?
I have 2 of your. I guess just to get through it real quick, I'd say for me, Godfather would be number 1. Labyrinth would be number 2. I'm giving it credit for doing the back panel display technique, and I think that maybe that's awarding the innovation a little too much, but it's animation and display, so I'm going to put that number 2, and I'd put Foo at number 3 because I do think it was a step up for Stern.
Okay,
Godfather. But I think Godfather had a lot of work in it, and it shows because they did not just rely on a bunch of movie clips. They did a lot of custom work on that.
Yep. Elton John made animations. I can create an Elton John screensaver for you in 10 minutes with star transitions. It's a valid point. The Croc Rock multi-ball, though, is pretty well done. So, okay, so I think we agree that Godfather then is better than Elton John, but you're saying you're giving Labyrinth here. Okay.
Yeah, that's my difference. But other than the order, that was my difference with what you suggested.
Godfather uses a lot of clips too. That's the thing that I think, in my opinion, this is pulling a lot of movie clips. This is pulling a lot of Godfather clips. While in my opinion, Foo Fighters, they're pulling nothing. Everything on that screen is original, unique.
But people don't want just straight up original. That's one of the biggest
gripes
watch
the whole
about
movie,
Stern's
right?
Avengers. Yeah, they want to watch the movie.
Mike, what are your thoughts? Are you good with these as the top 3, or what are you?
Yeah, actually, I mean, The Godfather, like you said, it's a bigger display. There's lots of stuff on there. The JJP does it right as far as getting everything you need in a game showing on there, as far as clips, movies, information. Foo Fighters, I agree, is number 1 as well. I think Foo Fighters, it's very seamless. It's almost like you're just watching an episode of an
Saturday
entire
morning cartoon
throughout your game. There's no real point where I feel like it stops with the cool things that's going on in the animations in the background and stuff too. So if you notice a couple, I think it's the Area 51 multi-ball. They almost outdo Scooby-Doo with the animation of the chasing through the doors and doing all that stuff, and it's great. It's great.
Cool.
And Labyrinth for the exact same reason as Dennis. The extra display with the.
I think I'm on this in my order. It sounds like Dennis would switch. He'd bump these up and move those, but I think we kind of agree I think we're good on these for the top 3. But this was a really good year. This is some years it's like obvious. It's obvious who the winner is, but I think you could make an argument here for a bunch. Cool. Best toys and mechs. Okay, all right. Galactic Tank Force. You got a big old tank in the front. You want to avoid it. Some magnets, 1 ramp. Foo Fighters, toys and mechs.
Desperately avoid it.
You have the Overlord in the back. You got a cool upper play field. I think more the layout is more entertaining to me than the mechs in that game. You have the Kavoom or Kafu like kicker on the right. It's pretty cool. Venom, what they're obviously arguing is change your host, change the game. The whole game changes. But if you ignore just the mechs that allow the game to change, you have the Carnage that moves in the back, the Carnage captive ball, the Doppelganger that swings out. Those would be your toys and mechs. Scooby-Doo, you got an interesting ball lock that's kind of hidden by the upper play field. You have a huge upper play field if you want to count that as a toy. Bookcase kind of flipper thing. Oh, yeah. Foo Fighters has the dead post, too. Forgot about that. You have a lot of horseshoes. You got a lot of wire forms. You have the apron locks. So there's actually a decent amount there. Final Resistance. In that playfield, in that 1/3, Scott packed a bunch in there. With the one thing that stands out is that ship. And the way that ship defends it or blocks it. And then you lock balls and they shoot back at you. Labyrinth is a very interesting layout. Unique toys, though. They have a horseshoe that goes up and down in the back. And
the little guys that pop up and down all over the play
little
field,
fiery
that's kind of
heads.
cool. Yeah, those are kind of cute.
And the Elo, the Elo worm. He's kind of in there. Bond 60th, you got the Odd Job hat in the middle. And you have a lot of spinners. Inline drops. Drained, you have a gobble hole. Got a gobble hole and a lot of drops.
Is it drops or stand-ups?
Stand-ups.
Okay, you got a gobble hole and there's a few. No, that's it. Yeah.
I think it's all stand-ups.
You're right.
I think it's all stand-ups.
Most of them are stand-ups because they're designed to bounce off of when you do the orbit up top. It does have a bell, though.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Queen, you have an upper play field, got a horseshoe ramp, but I don't really remember a unique mech in the game. Punny Factory, same thing. I don't really remember a unique.
It doesn't have that tube shot thing.
Yeah.
Tube shot.
Yeah. Spinal Tap.
Each one individually painted.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. Spinal Tap, I genuinely don't remember what the layout is or what it has. I don't know. I don't know. Elton John. You got Elton John playing piano, boop, 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 turning his head. Piano lock. You got some drops in the middle. The croc rock, the croc sculpt, and then the rocket shot is a pretty unique shot. And then Godfather, when it comes to mechs, you have a fountain that looks kind of cool, but there's no real mech. It's just a lot of diverters, and a unique.
And those aren't mechs.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, some of them are unique.
I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they are.
mechs,
I'm just trying to think of like unique.
You forgot about the gangster Bart that turns around.
Oh, I totally did. Totally forgot him in the middle with the dangly thing and the spinner.
Too. A little spinny
So
disc.
realistically, there's nothing here to me that's an obvious delete.
Well, yeah, because there's nothing new. There's nothing that's like other than the dead post, which is like, to me, the dead post was cool at first, but then it just kind of lost its whatever now. It's not really it's a post. It's cool. It's very unique and very, a genius thought, but it did get old quick for playing anyway. It's just kind of like holding up the flipper and it bounces over. You go again. And that's it.
Okay, so Iron Galactus in chat. He's the first person to say. He said it's Labyrinth, then Final Resistance, then Scooby. So best toys and mechs. So yeah, maybe I'm underestimating the power of diverters because Labyrinth has a gazillion of them that are fun to interact with. But the thing that I struggle with is it always comes back to friends and family. What's the thing? What's the physical thing when somebody steps up to the game of shoot that to see this or experience this? And Labyrinth was a fun game. People enjoyed that, but there wasn't anything obvious that I could explain to somebody to do, a novice to do in Labyrinth that they're going to be wowed by. But maybe that's me setting a rule for myself that's unfair. I don't know. Anyway, this is really tough. I don't have nothing's standing out to me on this, or how we want to interpret this. Maybe do we try to single out a mech? Which mech of all these games gave us the most enjoyment?
I'm curious what Craig thinks his top 3 would be, and then maybe we go from there.
So I keep coming back to Labyrinth only because I think, although I just think the placement of the different mechs was a little more unique than some of these other games. I mean, I would agree with what Joel's saying. There wasn't one mech that kind of stood out in any of these games as like a slam dunk. But just for me overall, with what, when I look at all these games, I think either there was enough in Foo Fighters, Venom, and Labyrinth for me to put them kind of in the top 3 there, just for what they
Venom,
had.
Labyrinth, and what?
Foo Fighters.
Okay.
So you're talking about the moving play field on the Venom, which changes the direction of your shot. Yep. It's essentially diverter, a different kind of diverter mech, really, is what it is.
And the fast locks,
yes,
fast locks.
Yeah.
I thought was very well
fun.
Done. I mean, the Elton John pinball, I guess, just because it stands out just because of that LED display on that, which was quite, I thought, unique and interesting.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I wasn't, when I'm thinking mechs, I'm not thinking a ton on Elton John. So it's tough.
We're gonna put a trash pile over there. Not trash. Not saying the games are trash, but it's just no. And then honestly,
well, they kind of are.
Galactic Tank Force, I just really struggle. That whole layout, the tank is more frustrating than it is fun. Yeah, that's in that.
I would say the Bond as well. The Bond 60th really.
Bond it's fun.
It's a unique
but it's not,
layout. It's just it doesn't have any. So that narrows it down pretty good, though.
Helps.
If you look at it,
definitely helps. When I try to think of what mech. When we're playing this at Texas, or we're playing this at Chicago, and we step up into a game, it's like, what is it? What is the mech that you want to experience? Final Resistance, that thing, you want to lock balls in that. And you want to experience that thing shooting at you. That brought me a lot of joy. And then the bookshelf flipper in this brought me a lot of joy. The fast locks are a ton of fun. The uppost, I really did enjoy. I don't know, but maybe you're right. The Labyrinth having all those diverters, the fact that the game is changing in the different modes, the oubliette mode. The game itself feels like it's changing, maybe even more so than Venom. It changes.
Well, you'd have to argue about Godfather then, right? With the diverters plus the little mobster on the game as
Godfather's
well, right?
my number 1.
That's
29
too,
different ball paths. I think people look at it and they just don't see a lot of sculpts and think that it's not. But in this category of toys and mechs, it's the one game where I actually think you could play it multiple times and still struggle to know where the ball will return at. Most of the other time, diverters are one trick and you figure it out quick. Mm-hmm. So for me, it would be Godfather, probably followed by Labyrinth, and then followed by Scooby-Doo. My problem with Venom and Foo Fighters is you have to factor in the pros, and you lose almost all of it on the pros. Okay. No up post on the pro Foo. No upper play field. Venom doesn't do the game state change
You're
on
right.
the Pro.
You're right.
So
You're right. The Pro Venom wouldn't even be in contention with top
Yeah,
10.
it's hard though
Yeah,
because the
not top 10,
games
but-
that the game you're voting on doesn't have pros, right? Like there's no pro version of or
it's
even
all
a standard.
it's all up
right?
to you.
all-
But that's
yeah.
what I factor.
And honestly, this is the challenge. I told my wife, she's like, well, what are you talking about tonight? And I was like, oh, we're probably going to go through our thoughts on TWIPY votes. And she's like, well, don't you think that's somewhat misleading? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, are you telling all these people how to vote? I'm like, no, that's not my goal. You do what you want. Tell us we're wrong. You vote for who you want. Cell processing. He's saying, Elton John, you got the Tiny Dancer, the Croc Rock shot. I mean, there's Iron Galactus, Labyrinth, Fire in the Drain was awesome. Scooby has the bookcase flipper and the barrel. Scooby on the right, Final Resistance, fastest shooter. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, Dennis, about Godfather. I see it. I personally I think Labyrinth, I definitely had more fun with Labyrinth than Godfather, but you're saying it's, and if we're just comparing diverters to
best
diverters,
fun.
it isn't the most fun.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like that, I like even those, like I was saying earlier, those little guys popping out and stuff. It's cute. It's fun. Like there's no game that does that kind of thing. So it's kind of neat and different. It's unique.
I think Final Resistance has one mech that I like in the game.
It's a great mech. I loved it on Kiss, and I loved it on Transformers too.
Okay, so I think if I'm going to look at these four, okay, I think I'm good with these as the top three, and then we can, we'll just, for the sake of this one, we'll go with Dennis's order. We'll go with Dennis's order.
You don't have to.
But
everyone can. Content creator would never tell anyone how to vote. You did tell your wife that, right?
Yeah, it's not what we do. It's not what we do.
Right.
We're not here to shill. But if you want to buy any of these games, flip it out. No.
Flipping Out would love to sell you Final Resistance.
This is going to be interesting because I think one of the challenges here with this being a popularity vote, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just the fact that it is, I think, we don't even have either of these Sterns in our top three, but yet those are going to be the games that the most people have played. So
I bet Foo Fighter wins.
Yeah.
My guess is Foo
Fighter might win this one because of that. I get it. I don't know. That's tough. There's a lot more love for Foo Fighters out there than there is Godfather. So how do you want to look at this? Maybe a flipper shaped bookcase that doesn't work well. That's what he's saying Scooby-Doo has. Yeah. Okay. All right. Best sound. I've never heard Birdwatchers, so I'm sorry. I just don't think it's going to be.
Is there music as well?
Dungeon Door Defender.
Sound.
It's just best sound.
Is there a music category? I think is what he's asking.
Yeah.
No.
Is there a best?
Nope.
So we have to take the music into account as well. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and the challenge is whenever they do a best music, it just seems like everybody hones in directly on music pins, and then it just becomes which one's more
I
popular.
wonder if they dropped. I thought they used to have it, and I thought that they dropped it, kind of like the best theme thing, where it was just like, well, what's your favorite band? Always won.
Yeah.
That must be why it's best sound. They don't want to have the word music there. They want to maybe put a little more weight to the call outs and all that
Are
stuff.
call outs a separate category?
Nope.
Okay.
So best
I think
sound is
God, I can't
literally
remember.
call outs and music. It's just everything you're hearing out of the speakers. If I'm going to go through here and I'm going to delete stuff, sorry, Nick, but I'm not. It's not in the top three. Punny Factory. What is it? What's his Mr. Fudd? What's his Elmer Fudd? What's the?
I don't think they got the rights to Elmer.
Well, what's the guy's name I'm thinking about? The Andy Griffith Show.
John Knotts?
Yeah, but what's his name in the show?
Barney Fife.
There it is. That guy, Barney Fife. Yeah, no, that's out. Okay.
Yeah, no Spinal Tap.
How do we look at this? So, no Spinal Tap. How do we look at this? Whirlwind, no, don't kid yourself. This has movie clips. This is all custom. This has all the Foo Fighter music, or a lot of Foo Fighter music you want. Callouts are just some dude. Venom, they got the Venom voice actor. all original music, but 4 original scores. 4 original scores. Scooby-Doo has the Scooby-Doo theme. It has Scooby-Doo music, but they got 4 different voice actors to play the different, like, the voice acting in this is legit. Final Resistance, the music, Scott wrote everything. The music is incredible. The voice, I think, is probably the robotic voice again. I'm going to take Bond's 60th out. There's no, I don't remember. The call-outs are just a British dude. But there are different, they threw in a bunch of different audio packages. Some British dude, you like that, Keith? Or sorry, Dennis, is that wrong?
That's okay. I can be Keith to you.
Yes.
This was the views because like James Bond is a British dude. So, but
well, yeah, but it's just some random dude that's
Whatever.
the call out guy.
Some random Bond actor.
Yeah.
There's only Pierce Brosnan. No biggie.
It's not Pierce. No, it's the call. They didn't pull clips from the movie. Yeah. Godfather.
This is so mean.
Godfather had some hate on their call outs, but Slash guitar solo,
oh my God, I hated that. That's automatically disqualified.
Queen, unfortunately I didn't hear it. I don't know. If somebody in chat wants to defend me or defend that Queen is a good audio package, I'm all ears. But yeah, there's your Mike. I'm gonna make you go first. What stands out to you in this lineup?
Okay, so all those ones on the bottom are good. That's fine. I would agree with that. I would even agree with Foo Fighters going down there, only because it's mostly just original music. And I'm trying to take the entire game into account, and it is just one random guy. It's not anybody from the band like Rush did or any of that stuff. It's just some random guy, and then the Overlord occasionally.
Yeah.
So that's my caveat for moving that one. I didn't play Galactic Tank Force enough to really judge by that. My hands down number 1 is Venom, just because of the soundtracks. There's a number of different soundtracks.
4, yeah.
Like if you're bored of one, you can play another one. It's yeah, and I like the sound effects as well in the game with the battles and stuff. So that's my number 1 for sure. Number 2, I would have to go with Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Scooby-Doo with all the voice actors and whatnot playing. Yeah, definitely. Definitely Scooby-Doo. And then, unfortunately, I haven't seen enough of Resistance. I imagine it would probably fall in there. If I had to default to pick a number 3, I would probably go with Godfather, only because I know the music a little better than I played it more than I played Labyrinth, because Labyrinth would be my other choice.
Okay. So Final Resistance, I think you have to look at both. The game has to have both. So it has to have good music and it has to have good call outs. So unfortunately, I don't think you're right. Foo Fighters has good music, but it doesn't have good call outs. Galactic Tank Force, the music is techno the whole time. Wow, 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 wow. It's dubstep. That's very hit or miss, but I just don't. Yeah, I think that's down here in my opinion. Venom call-outs, they did get the voice actor, but the music really stands out with 4 packages. There is some unique music in Scooby-Doo plus 4 voice actors. I think the call-outs, the music in Final Resistance is great, but unfortunately I don't think the call-outs are at the same level as these upper ones. They got Mark Silk in Labyrinth, plus a bunch of David Bowie music from the game. What I will say, though, Elton John has Elton John music. They have call-outs from Elton John. They also have call-outs from a British voice actor. And then there's a lot of other unique things with the background noise. You enter your initials. Somebody said that in chat. It's playing Rocket Man when you're entering your initials. In my opinion, I think the sound package in Elton John is better than Godfather. Just because the voice actors in Godfather, it's a bad accent.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. I just haven't played Elton John to really even say, yeah.
So I think these are my top 4, but where you rank them, I don't know. Dennis, do you have thoughts on where? Do you have one that stands out more than the others here?
I mean, I don't feel strongly on the sound. I'd say I agree with Mike. I think with the voice actor package, I'd put Scooby at number 1, just because but obviously I'm giving a lot of credence to call outs over everything else. The problem is with Scooby and most of these games, actually really outside of Stern, almost all of them do sound effects that piss me off. So, and Scooby has a little bit of that. Galactic Tank Force had a lot of that,
Yeah.
which I would normally have given them a lot of credit for the sheer amount of work they did with all those original custom actors to do callouts. I would probably do Scooby, Venom, and Labyrinth in that order.
Scooby, Venom, Labyrinth. Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't played Elton John, so it's not fair.
Yeah.
I'm not treating it fairly.
I think Elton John too, much like a lot of the JJP games, it's more like a casino slot machine type sound effects. I would sort of describe them as, which they have taken criticism for in the past, but I think it really works well with Elton John because it's so over the top. So like you said, Dennis, like it depends how you view those sound effects. They could really annoy you because there's lots of 80s style lasers and all sorts of stuff going off.
My problem with JJP in that is, and maybe Stern does it and I just can't detect it, but with JJP it's obvious they're using the same sound effect at every pin. That slot machine sound has been around since Wonka at least.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it in Godfather. It's probably there. You could probably tell me, Joel, but it is there. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's not as obvious, but there are definitely familiar sounds. It's like, yep, they pulled that out again. Yep.
So I'm kind of with you. I really thought Venom was stood out as Stern sound packages often do. So I have no problem putting them number one. I do think I would take Labyrinth over Scooby, just because I did feel like it just stood out to me a little more, and not that it was bad, it just the sound effects didn't do anything for me with Scooby-Doo. I mean, the voice acting was fine. It did sound like the characters for sure. I was just left wanting more with Scooby for some reason, and I'm not sure if it's just the theme itself, which I was a huge Scooby-Doo fan as a kid, but these days I'm a little more ho-hum about it, and that's why also I can see the argument for best theme just in terms of its general overall appeal, but for me personally, it doesn't do anything for me.
It's
yeah.
If you played Scooby and I almost forgot about it, TPF, and I could hear every Scooby snack chomp sound, and I almost flipped the pin, but my little scrawny arms weren't strong enough to do it.
So
I would take Labyrinth over Scooby. So I would go Venom, Labyrinth, and actually I would put Elton John as as a third in my little what did I choose? Yeah, I went Venom, Labyrinth, and Elton John.
I agree, and I think these are valid arguments for these as the top four, and I'm gonna the user can decide where they rank them. This is my opinion. I'm gonna put Labyrinth 1. And the reason I'm putting Labyrinth 1 is when I streamed this game, there were multiple times that I found myself, Jared and I would turn up the volume for different modes. And maybe it's just the David Bowie music, but the main reason this is my number one is the bogged mode. If you get bogged, or if you touch the green goo, it makes fart sounds that whole time. And it sticks with you. And I'm telling you, the fart sounds, pure joy. It is so freaking funny. So is that where I am as a 35-year-old man, that the fart sounds are going to be why this gets first in my mind? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. I would say the sound brought me joy in that game. So in my mind, Labyrinth is number one.
So fart sound wins number one.
Fart sound, yeah. Right. I'm going to put Venom at number 2. I respect the heck out of, I think it's David Thiel.
Jerry Thompson.
Jerry Thompson, who did the 4 sound packages. I think I had no issues with the call outs. Some of the call outs were actually pretty funny. Your mom's disappointed in you. And then I'm going to put Elton John at 3. That was another time that I found myself turning it up, mainly because of the music, but the wizard mode is so good. I just, Scooby-Doo, my fear with Scooby-Doo, I've never streamed it, but hearing that Scooby-Doo theme over and over and over again, I just feel like that's a call out that I would turn down. So those are my opinions. People are saying, Paulie's saying the fact that Foo is not top 3 is criminal. The reason we said Foo is because it's best sound, it's best music and call outs. And unfortunately, the call outs in Foo Fighters are not incredible. So that's my thought. Dennis obviously agrees. Fart sounds number 1. Yeah. We're on the
I mean, you do you.
What was your number 1?
Fight it.
What was your number 1, Dennis?
My number 1. Oh gosh, I already forgot. I think I did Scooby
Venom.
number 1.
Oh,
I did Scooby. I did Venom number 2, but I kind of regretted my Scooby suggestion because I hate the Scooby snacks.
Yeah.
And now that I'm remembering them, they really made me mad.
Yeah, I remember you venting about it on podcast. But
well, because that game was that game was even easier than Foo Fighters was in terms of ball time, and I was just like, oh my god, this has to end on stock settings.
Yeah,
that game plays forever.
Ryan Eggers here in chat probably doesn't push it to the top 3, but honorable mention is Bond 60. You're right. I mean, there's all the different sound packages are correct, but I think these are also good. That you have to have both. You got to have music and you got to have call outs, and Yep. That's where I'm at. Vote how you want.
Okay.
Don't follow us. All right. Lyman F. Sheets Award. This is best rules. These are the best rules for the game. Just for clarity's sake, let's delete some of this. I feel, once again, sorry, P3, I've never played these games, but the fact that I'm not trying to...
You're being awfully harsh on things you haven't played.
I mean, this bothers me that I have things overlapping. Punny Factory, I watched a stream of it. It's bad. Spinal Tap, it's once again made by a guy that says, I don't make games for pinball people.
No, that one's fair to delete.
Okay, so I will do that then. I will do this, and I feel okay with it. Honestly, I will be honest here. Because I'm not. No, Elton John. I enjoyed Elton John. It's very approachable. It's a very fun game, but it is somewhat shallow in a sense with its rules. So I do not think it makes top 3, 5, whatever. Whirlwind. I haven't played it, but the majority of the reviews I've seen, there's a lot of Whirlwind owners that are not running out to convert their games. I don't think it makes top 5. Drained is fun, but it's just not in the same depth. Queen, I remember playing Queen, and it was rough. It just, nothing really drew me in there. So unfortunately, I'm going to start making my pile over here. This is unique. The Dungeon Door, I think it's creative.
And then into the pile it goes.
It's creative, but it's not. It doesn't draw me in.
Bad.
It doesn't draw me in. All right, Dennis, your turn on this one. On this one.
I know on the pinball show we talked about this, and I put Venom at number 1, and I think I'll stick with that. Even if it maybe not necessarily my favorite rule set, I like how unique, how innovative it is with the progression. I like the notion of pushing the boundary on that. So I would say for me, this is going to be a Stern fest. Venom 1, Foo 2, Bond 60th 3. Stern always has the best rules in the biz, and it's just how it is. So.
Okay. Mike, Craig?
Go ahead, Craig.
I'm gonna just throw in there just to be a little different, because I agree, Venom and James Bond at 1 and 3. And I think it showed that even, a good design in the single level plus a good rule set can go a long way. And that game had that for sure. But I'm going to throw Labyrinth in there, just because I thought it was a nice, deep, but easily understandable rule set. I'm going to give Labyrinth, I think, maybe a little bit of advantage in a lot of these categories, just because as a newcomer, I'm being a little bit biased towards them, because I just think they were so much better than a lot of the incumbents, like American Pinball and well, let's face it, Chicago Gaming couldn't even get anything made. So I'm growing And I think I've been saying this. I'm growing increasingly frustrated with Chicago gaming because they can't seem to produce anything. And I'm growing increasingly frustrated with American Pinball because they pick horrible themes and their designs are like,
Yeah.
like I just can't, like their layouts, I mean, you know.
But it's best
So
rules, Craig, not best company.
I know.
Best
I know,
rules.
and I'm getting off on a tangent here.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going I'm going to go Venom, Labyrinth, Bond 60th.
Venom, Labyrinth, Bond 60th. Okay.
I
Galactic
like
Tank
having a
Force.
rule set that's not too complicated. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
agree with Dennis. I think Stern is generally the best in the biz, but occasionally I don't mind having a rule set that's not quite as deep.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well,
just a little
I thought
easier
all
to get
three of
going.
them this year were really approachable.
Yeah.
I found Rush completely nebulous to me until Raymond
Yeah.
explained it. But Foo Fighters I thought was extremely understandable.
Yeah. This is going to be a very subjective category, I think. Galactic Tank Force, unfortunately, I can't get into the game. I can't get the ball up the ramp. I can't survive to play the rules.
This
maybe
is best
they're
rules,
amazing.
not best ball up ramp.
I know, but if I can't play it, if I can't enjoy it, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Ball up ramp.
Elton John, I've said they're fun, but I think they're a little shallow. My issue with Godfather is nobody can understand them. But once you do understand it, they are really good. They are really good. They are laid out well. I can't put in my top 3 because I think it's almost too much. It's almost too much. I do think Scooby does a really good job with its unique modes. Those are a lot of fun. But I do think I want to give credit where credit's due with Venom. I had a lot of fun on the Pro. That had nothing. There was nothing there on the playfield. I didn't even get the game state changes when you're changing the host. But I do think the rules and the way that the game changes depending on your host and the way you attack different things, plus the XP system, I really did. I really have enjoyed the rules of Venom. So it's definitely in my top 3. I had a ton of fun with Labyrinth, though. Like a ton of fun with it. I really enjoyed the rules, and there was a complexity there where building up your friends and leveling up your friends were something I really didn't dive into, but I think people will. So I would put Labyrinth in my top 3. I don't think I would put Bond 60th in my top 3 just because it's a shooter's game for points in pursuit of points, but it's not like the modes really made me feel any different when I played it. That's just where I am. Final Resistance does some unique things with its power-up system, and there are some unique modes, but I just don't think it's competing with these others. I think Foo Fighters is a safe bet. I think they're fun modes. I like the upgrade path. So I don't know. I think I'm probably personally leaning towards these 3 being my top 3. But Mike, where were you on this?
Yeah, it's down to those 4 that you had there with the Bond, but I mean I'm only experiencing Bond from watching it, so I can't really say much on that. I'd have to go with Venom, Labyrinth, Foo Fighters.
That's actually I chose that too. Like, yeah,
I think
that's the same.
So I think we all
Joel,
agree Venom gets the love here.
Joel, you convinced me there about Foo over Bond 60th there. Yeah.
So what were you, Dennis? You were Venom 1.
I was Venom, Foo, Bond.
Venom, Foo, Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I am Venom, Foo, Labyrinth. Is what I
see. The rules on Foo Fighters to me are great. Like I can't complain about them. But I've always said they feel very Deadpool-y. It sort of feels like I've played those rules before. Other than the upgrading of the van, with the exception of that, it just feels very similar to game I've played before.
Okay.
Which would be Deadpool.
I get it. This is probably where I'm at personally, but and we all know, I mean, just admit it, right? Because we're social media creators, right? The only reason we are saying Venom is because Zach needs to sell Venoms, right? I mean, this is right. This is the only reason we're shilling.
That's why you cut Craig off from his bitch fest about American Pinball and CGC. So I'm glad you stepped in and intervened.
Yeah.
Well,
chill.
Every year, it seems to be the code carries more and more weight in how people look at pinball machines and awarding them. It's like you could almost take a bad layout, and as long as you can put a good coder in there, they can make a good game. So layouts are becoming maybe number 2 on the list of importance after code now, right? Like you look at this Dwight code in Venom, I can just imagine how much further it's going to go from there, right? So
well, I'm looking here, Venom, like it's not in the top 3 of Toys and Mechs. The layout is just okay. I think it's the rules that are the best part of that. Now, a tournament player may disagree with me because the way people are playing it in a tournament, but I just think it deserves credit for the XP system, the 4 different hosts. You can play the game in completely different ways.
Yep.
I'm excited for the direction. And
I do think they took a big risk going down that path, and I think it took a lot of confidence in Dwight to let him do that to that game, because that could have been a bit of a, like you said, a miss.
It is,
And Paul, there's probably a lot of improvement that can happen with it. But I think as a first step, because I mean, what was the closest thing before that? Turtles, which is much smaller in terms
Game of Thrones
that
kind of
aggression, sort of thing than that. So it's just, I just think it's interesting trying to find that balance to better appease homeowners in terms of the speed they can get through things and stuff. I think there's a lot to be learned from it. But I still think it's very potentially revolutionary. I don't think we'll see all pinball games like that, but maybe one a year out of turn. Going heavy progression might be interesting to see what happens, especially with Insider Connected.
Yeah, the only one thing I would say about that is I worry about the longevity of it, because eventually everybody's going to get to the end for the most part, without the exception of Clintar multi-ball. Everybody will have seen it, so then they'll pass by and say, "Oh, I already got to the end of that game. We'll move on to the next one." So that's that. While I'm having a lot of fun with the game, I just feel like the longevity on that might start to wane a little after time.
I'm wondering in the future if the answer is jumping up into Goxler, my favorite sound mixer board, and which I don't know what that was. And
that was my audio. Sorry,
okay. I was judging it, and maybe like tripling the depth or something. Obviously, if you're doing progression based, people are going to get to the end eventually. But conceptually, a lot of people want to get to the end eventually of their pin, or else you get Star Trek and you're never getting to 5-year mission, and you just let it go eventually because you're never going to be that good.
That's a tough one. That was a tough category. These are good. This is what I like though about it. There's been years with the TWIPYs or Pinball Awards where it's just clear-cut winner, clear-cut obvious choice. And there's a lot of games, and hopefully we're showing some variety here. But okay, best playfield, gameplay, and layout. So best overall layout. We can probably eliminate some of these relatively easily. Drain, Nick, it's a great, I liked it. I had fun on it, but it's not. It's just not. It's just very simple. It's very simple. Punny Factory, I'm not really seeing a lot of love for that and its layout. I don't know Spinal Tap. I feel like that's bad, but I don't know it. And so it's not. Queen, I've played it, and I was pretty bored of the layout pretty quick. Galactic Tank Force, I just have had issues. I've had issues every single time I've played it. I don't think it's in the top few.
I've had some of the quickest ball times I've ever had on a pinball machine. It was so fast that even my daughter said, "Dad, what happened?"
And I'm
like, "Well, my ball is done."
So this is gonna be hard, I think. Foo Fighters is
the word gameplay in there though, because gameplay then relates to code again as opposed to just the layout. Like the shots are fun. I guess
let's do it this way. If you were flipping the whitewood, so all the toys we lost Mike. We lost Mike. No. Hopefully he comes back.
Oh, I'm here. Can you not?
No,
we lost your video. Whose video did we lose?
I turned off my video.
We lost Dennis's video. Okay.
I have to get another drink. I'm sorry.
Swapped everything out.
That's okay. Okay, so my view is if you were playing a whitewood, is that fair? Best playfield gameplay and layout.
No. Well, if I was playing a whitewood,
if you're playing a whitewood, flipping it around,
Venom wouldn't be up there on that list.
Okay.
for sure. It would be down on the bottom. I think
Brooklyn Pin, bring Travis back.
just
Back with the camera out. I agree. I think Foo Fighters does stand out. That is just a fun layout in general. Venom, I do not think is top 5. I think it's a very simple, easy to shoot
It's a fan layout, right, Joel?
Yeah, the fast locks make things entertaining, and the changing, it is a unique, but it's just, even the changing of layouts, it's still a very simple thing. Scooby-Doo, I also don't think that upper playfield, you can be up there a long time, and it's a lot of horseshoes. I like Labyrinth's layout. a lot. Had a lot of fun with that. I would put Labyrinth here in the mix. Final Resistance, probably not. It's fun, but probably not. The layout of Bond 60th is pretty great. And then Elton John.
Well,
Elton John is a Steve Ritchie special. It's all the things you like about Steve Ritchie. And then the layout for Godfathers is really good, especially with the things with the diverters and everything like that. So I personally think these are the top 5. I think these are the top 5. Now let's figure out order. Are you good with these top 5, Mike? And then I don't know, Dennis, if you can hear it. But
I would go, just to be real quick about it, I would go Foo Fighters, because I do think, again, I do think Jack did a fantastic first effort job with that game, and I do think the layout is both unique, fun to shoot, and it makes you want to keep playing. So anyway, and then I would go I think he beats out Elwyn, who would be number 2, and for me it would be Elton John, because I do think it's kind of like you're playing the best of Steve Ritchie's shots there, and it is the result is fun at the end of the day. It's a great shooting game.
Yeah.
So I'd go Foo, James Bond, because you can't bump elephant. You can't bump Elwyn out of the top 3. Like you can't. Most people with a single level play field, like he's basically, you're hamstringing the guy. He's playing with one hand behind his back, and I still think he knocked it out of the park.
He crushed it with that layout. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my take.
Okay, Mike.
Foo Fighters number 1. Definitely. I mean, it's you want to give it to Elton John, and you want to give it to but it's like they're playing with more money for their play fields, right? So it's hard, but I think with not playing Elton John, it does look like Craig said, like all of Steve Ritchie's sort of best shots he's known for are there. So I'm gonna go with Foo, Labyrinth, and Elton John.
Okay.
And I mean Bond, I would
So
consider
you're doing that down.
I would consider Bond, but it's it's creative with what the limit he was given.
Okay. But you were saying, Craig, Foo, Labyrinth, 60th, Bond 60th.
I said Foo, James Bond, and Elton.
Okay. So you had Labyrinth out. Okay. Dennis, what are you thinking?
I would do Elton, Foo, Bond in that order.
Elton is number 1.
Yes.
Foo Fighters, then Bond.
Yes.
Okay. So all 3 are you guys all the one thing you guys all agreeing on is Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters is a top 3 game for sure, and I think I agree with that. I think Foo Fighters was incredibly surprising to me, but when I think of which games, I love Keith Elwyn. But I think when I think of the games that brought me the most joy in just flipping it around, and maybe it's because Elwyn's is a single level, and maybe there's just something about the kinetic satisfaction of the ramps. But these are my top 3, personally. Those are my top 3, and I think I personally would go Foo Fighters 1, probably Elton John 2, Labyrinth 3. That's probably what I would be. What was it? Who had Craig? Did you have Foo first? And Mike, you had
I
Foo
did.
first?
I had 2 and 3 swapped. Yeah.
2 and 3 swapped. Okay. That's probably
I'm
where
gonna
I'm
change
at.
my vote there. I'm gonna go Foo, Elton, and Labyrinth. I'm gonna kick Elwin out of the top 3.
Even though you said you can't kick him out of the top 3 because he's hamstringing it.
Now I'm arguing against myself.
But Dennis, you were thinking Elton John first, Foo last, right? And then you had Bond 60th in the middle. Was that right?
Yeah, I just think it's a close thing.
Yep.
I really enjoyed shooting Foo Fighters a lot, and it feels really different. So I could understand going with it first.
Okay.
And again, I haven't had hands on with Elton. I can only go off of what I've watched. But Elton, I think because the shots are smoother, I favor that style of gameplay.
Yeah.
And then with Bond, the issue is, I get it, y'all. You whippersnappers are addicted to your ramps, but that layout is shockingly creative.
It is,
and with like the 3 spinners and everything going, it just executes so well. I think it's underappreciated in part because the game was deeply overpriced. But but it is what it is. But I'm not Labyrinth in no way interests me as a layout. I think it's a functional layout, and that's all I feel when I see it.
You should play it. But I see what you're saying.
I'm going
I don't have it here.
And the 60th.
How do you know? Hey, no. What is it, Dennis? Isn't Zach sending you a game? Aren't you getting a game? You don't. It could be Labyrinth. You don't know.
I mean, I know, but you don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. Best artwork. Honestly, this one,
Here we go.
This is rough. This is a rough and tough decision right here. If you look, we have new games down here. We have Elvira Bloodsuckers Edition. We have Jurassic Park 30th. And we have Alien Ripley Edition. Those all qualify. Once again, just for the sake of overlapping things, Spinal Tap has got some heat on people not loving the art. Whirlwind, the only new art is, I know. I just said no. Punny Factory, that's a no. Sorry, Nick. Drain is a no. I think his daughter or wife did all the art.
His
on
wife.
Drains.
I really like the drained art.
You serious? Do I need to put it back?
You don't have to put it back, but I do like it.
It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not professional level art.
I think it was professional level art. I think you don't like the style, and you're trying to mask that now.
No, I think he doesn't like children.
No, I think Nick's wife did the art package.
Okay.
I thought it was a really interesting monochromatic style with emphasized red. Kind of like Elvira Bloodkiss, but you know what? But we know someone doesn't distribute P3 games, and they do distribute Elvira. So
that's right.
That's how it works.
Chill. Okay, this is tough. Zombie Yeti, Foo Fighters, Zombie
really
Yeti, Venom, Elton John, Chris Franchi, Godfather, Chris Franchi, Galactic Tank Force, Chris Franchi. Johnny Crap did Labyrinth. Johnny Crap also did Final Resistance. And he did Jurassic Park. Johnny Crap. This one, Queen is not in the top. And Alien, it's cool, but no. I don't think I would not consider that in the top personally. Do you disagree, Dennis?
No.
We're talking about the Ripley
Edition.
Right? This is the Ripley edition.
Yeah. Yep. What I will say, the Bloodsucker edition, or this Blood Kiss Red, whatever edition, seeing that in the Stern factory, it really stands out. It is a head turner, the way that they made the red sparkle. And then Elton John, honestly, I think I've said it before, I think it would get my number one. Reason being, I did not care about this game at all, but when I saw it at Expo, the glitter, the colors, the everything, I genuinely think it's a head turner. I think the artwork on this is extremely well done. Galactic Tank Force, the art is the best part of the game. The best part of the game, in my opinion, by far. I think we talked about Bond 60th. What was it? It's kind of just movie posters all over the side. It's not bad, but it's not. I think I'm actually going to move it down here. I don't think it's in the top. Labyrinth art is really good. It's just very brown. But that's what the movie is. I I don't know. Every one of these art packages is really good. Does anybody have
It's just
Mike, Dennis, or Craig? Anything stand out here?
Well, I think you really got to get around these games and not just look at the play field to really, I think, differentiate some of them. Because I do agree with you, Joel. Although the back glass of Labyrinth is excellent, the rest of the cabinet is, again, it's great for the theme, but it doesn't stand out like some of these other games. I do think when you look at Venom, and although we're getting so used to Zombie Yeti's art, I just think he deserves a nod because it is the amount of detail he has in that game when you look down on it. It is truly like looking down at the pages of a comic book, and it's almost 3D like, I think.
Yeah.
When you're, just the depth that he has on that game and the color variation, I think it's just excellent. And Christopher Franchi too, like Dennis and Zach were talking about in the show. I think he basically started with a blank slate, with a theme that nobody knew, and created a masterpiece there as well. So
Yeah.
and did a very similar thing with Elton John. So I'm actually gonna put Elton John ahead of Galactic Tank Force, only because I like the theme better between those two. And I was just drawn to, like you said, Joel, I was just drawn to it, I think, a little more than I was Galactic Tank Force. So I'm going Elton, Galactic Tank Force, and then Venom. And I'm talking the cabinets, the whole bit. Like
I'm
when
moving.
you get around these games, you really start to appreciate the art on them.
I'm moving Final Resistance down just because the P3 doesn't have a ton of art. It's kind of a display versus I don't know. Nothing against Shining Crap, but it just this is tough. So you said Elton, Venom, Galactic Tank Force.
Elton, Galactic Tank Force, and then Venom. I'm gonna say for Elvira too, and for the Jurassic Park. Really, Jurassic Park, it's more or less the back glass and a little bit of cabinet, I guess, differentiation. So I'm not going to give that as much of a nod. Same with Elvira, although it looks fantastic in red. I can't say that was groundbreaking or particularly.
It looks real good though.
It looks fantastic, but to give it an award just because they made everything black and white and then put red there, it's like, really? I don't know. Okay. You're gonna take that over
a
Franchi that basically created a whole new art package.
Yeah, that's fair.
At the end of the day.
Mike, what are you thinking?
Anyway.
It's a tough one. You could almost go with a Franchi sweep here if you really wanted to. I mean, that Godfather package is really nice. I mean, the only one I saw was the CE with the sparkly playfield and everything too, and it's got the Marlon Brando on it, and it's nice. Elton John, I haven't seen in person, but I can definitely appreciate the art. Galactic Tank Force is good. Oh, man, this is really tough. Okay, I'm gonna go. Venom has to be in there. I think Venom is the stronger of the two art packages for Zombie Yeti. So I'm gonna go. Galactic, Venom, Godfather.
Galactic, Venom, Godfather. So Craig and Mike both feel that Venom is better than Foo Fighters. You think that's the stronger of the two? Dennis, what do you think?
Taking everything like playfield,
Between
everything.
Venom and Foo Fighters, which one do you think is better, Zombie Yeti?
Venom.
Really? I think I like
I don't
Foo
really
Fighters
like
more.
the Foo Fighters art. I think it's one of his weakest packages.
Okay.
I agree.
It's just like there's no source material for him to go by on that. So you got to give him credit for creating that art, right? I mean, Venom, there's a bit of source material he has to go off, but he can create his own image of it. But
I mean, don't get me wrong, Venom ain't in the top three either.
Okay. So let's do this between Elton John. So you guys said Galactic Tank Force, Venom, Elton John.
Dennis.
Okay.
I can see your argument there.
Dennis, what are your thoughts before I share mine? What are your top three?
Scooby-Doo, Galactic Tank Force, Elton John. Yes.
I'm with Dennis.
Yep.
Scooby-Doo in person Scooby-Doo in person,
incredible side, incredible translate,
well done.
and a good play field, and all true to the comic.
It's all very, very well done.
Hmm.
Scooby-Doo, I think, is very well done. This is my thought: is if I wanted a game that just sat in my game room and people could look at it, like, what's the game that's going to be like, wow, beautiful, beautiful game? I think Scooby-Doo does that incredibly well. I think Galactic Tank Force does that incredibly well. And I think Elton John does it incredibly well. Those are my top 3. And I can't believe Jeremy Packard Zombie Yeti apparently is not making my top 3 this year. These are my top 3.
A Godfather CE with all that gold on it would sure look
very
good.
good.
My problem with and Godfather is like it's like what Franchi did is well done.
Mm-hmm.
There's too much gold in that art package. And I think the issue is not true to Godfather. And I think the reason why it's all red and gold like that is that's how they, I think, ended up doing that. Someone linked it to me. I think that's how they ended up doing the Blu-ray box sets. But that isn't a color scheme that was associated with it historically. So like the old posters were black with some gilt gold and stuff. And it's not, or black and white. It just wasn't true to it. So I felt that he was hamstrung by the license there. So that's why I would go with his Elton John package over that, because I think it's more true to Elton John than some marketing decision that mandated the color scheme for Godfather, which is how I feel that one came across. And I really, though, I think his Galactic Tank Force is the best because it feels, well, it's so original.
Yeah.
It just feels so like he got to be as creative as he wanted to be with it. But Scooby just looks so good. It's number 1 for me.
I think these are my top 3 personally. Elton John, genuinely, it was a whole wow reaction to the art package. And I haven't had that on a pin, but I do think Scooby-Doo's art is so well done all around. Maybe 1 and 2 would flip, but then you got to give it to Chris Franchi, what he did, totally pulling all of that out of his head. Galactic Tank Force is an incredibly good looking machine. These are my top 3. And I think Dennis had these switched, but you guys had Scooby-Doo out and Venom in. So there you go. I think those are our top 4. So real quick recap before we get to Game of the Year. What game are we seeing a lot of? So there's Scooby-Doo, Labyrinth, Elton John. There's another Labyrinth. There's another Labyrinth, another Scooby-Doo. There's another Labyrinth. There's another Elton John. First Venom vote. There's another Venom, another Labyrinth. Foo Fighters. Another Elton John, another Labyrinth. Another Foo Fighters. Art. Elton John, another Scooby-Doo. So Game of the Year.
I think Labyrinth was the only one that, there was only 2 that Labyrinth wasn't in.
Well, that's what I'm trying to think is yeah. So Drain did not make any of them. Punny Factory, Queen didn't. Spinal Tap didn't. Final Resistance didn't make in any of our top 3. So here we are for Game of the Year. Game of the Year. What's the most rounded, well-rounded, enjoyable game? Galactic Tank Force, I think, only made it in 1 category. Is that right?
Art.
Which was art. So it's not Galactic Tank Force.
Mm-mm.
Foo, Labyrinth, Elton John. I think Foo is probably the highest selling out of all these games. I think Foo is the most universally liked out of all these games.
I think Foo's number 1.
But Foo made, so out of, what do we have? 7. So out of 7 categories, Foo was in the top 3 on 1, 2, 3 of them. But I'm
pretty sure Foo will get number 1.
I think Foo's going to win it. I do think Foo's going to get it. Foo's going to win it. You look at sales numbers alone. Sale number alone, it's going to be Foo Fighters. It's going to be Labyrinth. It's going to be Scooby-Doo for sales. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong on that? Dennis, what are you thinking?
What are you asking me? Are you asking me which one I think will really win the TWIPYs?
No, what do you want? What do you want, Dennis?
No, I put Foo at number 1, even though I don't pick it number 1 in any other category.
Yep.
I think for a mix of reasons, not even related to the sales. It's a pretty approachable player on default settings. I think that's why it resonates with people, is it has decent ball times. Theme isn't particularly offensive, something risky with a lot of music pins, but I don't really know a lot of people that just despise Foo Fighters music. Plus, it's Jack Danger's first. The cat despises it. Okay, well, I understand.
There's a cat.
Plus, it's Jack Danger's first cornerstone.
Yeah.
I think that generated a lot of excitement. He brought a lot of ideas into play that we hadn't been seeing out of Stern. So I think those sort of things assembled together resulted in why I would place it as number one. I enjoyed playing it. It's not on my buy list, but yeah, it would be my number one. I'd say Labyrinth number two, and Elton John 3.
Okay. So this is Dennis's top 3. All right.
But fundamentally, Foo is fun.
Yeah. Why did Labyrinth make your top 3? You haven't really spoken much of Labyrinth in a pleasant way.
It's tough for me because I haven't been able to play it.
Yeah.
Theme integration.
Yeah.
That's where you've got kind of like how I was giving a lot of kudos to Jack for his first cornerstone, brand new company. And when was the last time we saw a new company come out with a game and not stumble out of the gate?
Yeah.
I can't think of it. And since me being in the hobby, I mean, JJP stumbled. Maybe CGC back when they could still make pins didn't stumble when they did Medieval Madness, but it's just it captured the world really well. The layout was at least accepted, if not loved. Great use of sculpts, so it felt really immersive. Just so that's kind of why it's number 2. And for me, Elton John, you've got a proven Ritchie layout. The rule set so far, it's not fleshed out all the way yet, but it seems to be resonating really well. Game looks great. Light integration and animations out of JJP are top tier to this day.
Yeah.
So those are those main reasons. Mostly the other stuff all has an issue for me that kind of drops it down more so than honestly, there's no game this year that I want to buy.
Okay.
So
That's fair.
I mean, just factor that in.
Craig, what are you thinking? Your top 3.
Well, I know when I've played, for me, I think the top 3 are sitting there in Foo, Labyrinth, and Elton John. And I know when I played all of them, I was the most excited, honestly, about Elton John, which was a surprise to me in playing it, because I thought I would be the least between Elton John and Labyrinth. I thought I was going to be the least impressed by them, and but again, when I take those two, Elton John and Labyrinth, I had the most fun probably playing Elton John between those two. I know why Foo, and I think for all the reasons Dennis and you guys have talked about, is going to win it. But for me personally, I didn't love the theme, and when I played it, although I could recognize that it was a great layout, I just couldn't kind of get into it the way I wanted to. So that's why I knock it back to sort of the number 3. Although it was, again, for overall, it was a great effort by Jack for his first one out of the gate. I would pull Labyrinth higher than him just because it was, I think, such a Herculean effort by them being a new company that I got to give them a nod. And to take a theme like that, which I think was better than Foo, frankly, so I think they chose a better theme. They had the theme integration was fantastic, all those things. So I'm really struggling between Elton and Labyrinth at the end of the day. And I think, again, between those two, I would take Elton. So for me, it would be Elton, Labyrinth, Foo.
Okay.
Reverse order.
Yeah.
Elton, Labyrinth. Okay. And Mike, where are you at?
I think I'm those 3 games as well.
So we all agree on these 3 games. That's
good.
Okay.
Game of the year. I'm actually gonna go different than Craig, and I'm going to put Labyrinth at number 1. Not solely, but one of the main reasons is because this has probably been the most successful pinball launch in recent memory overall, from reveal to release to reception to issues with the game, not a lot of issues. Like, everything seems to be perfect. It's almost like the perfect release. So I'm giving it based on the release, the game itself. It's you know, the all the little guys I said in it, the back screen, all that stuff. So Labyrinth's number one, and I'm gonna go Foo Fighters number two. It's just an overall package. Great rules, great art, great music, great layout. So that's going to be my number two. And Elton John is going to be my number three. I haven't played it, so I can't really comment on it, but I do gravitate to Steve Ritchie games a lot. So I'm going to put that number three.
I am going to agree entirely with you, Mike. And the way I'm looking at it, I've been fortunate enough to stream all three of these games. I've had all three of these games in the house. I've been able to, I've been intimate with them. I've been able to play the heck out of them.
I don't care what you do with your games.
Yeah. And but when I look back on what streams did I have the most fun? What streams did I have the most fun with start to finish? I'm going to put Labyrinth number one. It was the biggest surprise for me. My brother and I freaking love the game. Lots of laughs, lots of fun, lots of challenge. Kept drawing us back in. It was not hard to stream that game. It was just fun. Foo Fighters I'd put as my number two. It's same thing. I think Ray did a great job on the code. Ray and Tanyo. Jack did a great job with the fun layout. I agree, though. It is Deadpool familiar, but it's fun. We had a lot of fun playing that game. And then Elton John, this is the same thing I would say of if I was to buy one of the games this year, Labyrinth would be the one that I think would be the one I'd have in my house. And the only reason I don't own it, though, is it's not a theme I love. The art is, in my opinion, the worst part of it, and it's still really good art. It's just not, that's not a game I want in my lineup of four. But I absolutely had the most fun playing Labyrinth, second most fun with Foo, and then probably the third most fun with Elton John. That's probably where I'm at. So that's my thoughts. So I think we all agree that those should be the top three, but put them in whatever order you feel. Chad, are we missing one? Is there Bond? No. So Jurassic Park doesn't count for this because it's the same game. It's just a different art package. But there we go. That's where I'm at. So there we go. That's took 2 hours, but I think we did some legit trial and error testing on our thoughts there. Which is
Joel
good.
will get this posted publicly so you all know what you're supposed to do when you
and you
vote.
better follow. Speaking of follow, favorite pinball creator, what you spell it, F-L-I-P, flip in out. No. Do what you want here in this category. If you look at this, the pinball show is on this. You can pick the pinball show. You can pick flipping out for streaming. Obviously, this in videos. You can pick the pinballers for streaming. That's on there. Triple Drain if you want. But my view is, how should you approach this category? If a creator posts content and you find yourself stopping whatever you're doing to consume that content, vote for that person. That's my thought.
What do you
consume the most of, or is there something you don't miss? Whether it's a YouTube video, a stream, or an episode, go for that. But yeah, vote for who you want. And if you find yourself debating between 4 or 5, you know what? Shoot all 4 or 5 of those people a Facebook message or an email and just let them know. That's all I can ask there. Favorite pinball mod. This is where I shill. And the reason I'm shilling is because I just got this. Craig, you can inform the people how this is the Atomic Godzilla mod. The Atomic
That doesn't
Godzilla
look like a
mod.
Pin Monk fan.
No, I just got this in.
Flippers.
Nice, Joel.
They were awesome to work with. They were very kind. They hooked me up with this, and I can't wait to put it in. Craig, you've already done this. You've already done this. So this whole back
So good.
of him and his mouth and his face light up and is interactive with the game. Craig, you have this in your game. What's your current experience with this mod?
I'm going to call this my favorite mod in that list, only because I think it takes such a horrific figure in what Stern gives you, and just gives you what you actually want, which is something with some LEDs, something that actually looks more like the artwork that Zombie Eddie has on the game. And when you see it in action, in terms of its interaction with the game and what's happening, your eye is drawn to it all the time. Anybody that comes and walks up to this game will instantly go, "Oh my God!" And then when you start to combine it with all of the other Stumbler mods that he's put in,
Yeah.
it just creates such a beautiful piece, when you start to combine all these things. And I'm not a big fan in general of a heavily modded game. But when they're done so well to actually look like Stumbler's done, and like this guy did, Stumbler created with sorry,
he made it with.
worked with him.
Worked with
Yeah.
him. Yeah. It's an awesome mod.
I just think it's fantastic. Now, there are some extremely well done mods. This category is really hard, I think, because there are some fantastic mods in this category. So it's tough. What do you guys think? Beyond that one.
So what I would say is my top 3 mods. Stumbler had his noodle bar mod, and if you're in on the Stumbler kits, you can keep rolling. Stumbler is probably I'm such a fan of Davey. But he has his noodle bar mod, which I think is awesome. I'm a big fan of this Atomic Godzilla. I'm just very excited it's finally here. And then the third mod is once again one that you are familiar with, Craig. The Drake Premium LE building mod. You put that in. You said it took you a few hours, but this is a totally new kit to replace the building that goes up and down. And I actually have it sitting right here. I have not installed it because I am intimidated by how long it's going to take. But it is totally, there's multiple pieces to this. The sides, everything lights up. It's pretty impressive what's all here.
This is another mod where I really struggle between this one and the one I chose with the Atomic Godzilla, because it is...
Like that lights up. There's a
technically, I think it's probably better than the Atomic Godzilla because of what they had to do to make this work. I think, and
all lights up, fire.
Yeah,
it's all
I mean, it's when
to
you
the game.
see it in action and you get it into place, you're like, and it lights up. So first of all, when it lights up, and this doesn't, the video there, Joel, scroll back because it doesn't really do it justice.
Is there a video in this?
So at the top of it, so where at the top where the balls get locked, you can see it. Okay, go up a little bit. One more.
Right there.
One more again. I think I saw it. There. You can see that it lights up like it's on fire at the top. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Drake sign also lights up. Then there's a burning. Yep, keep going up down there, Joel.
Yeah,
it's good.
That's this
And there's
right
a burning fire at the bottom.
Yep.
That you can see both where the ball goes in and on the side. So it looks like there's a fire on the ground floor, and that there's a UFO that changes color on the other side. Damn it! It might be the best mod at the end of the day. I've convinced myself.
All the red lights interact to the red GI on the game.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah. Not once again, not going to tell you what to do, but those are the ones that and maybe we're just Godzilla focused, but those are the ones I'm modding the heck out of my Godzilla. I know Craig is. I'm a fan of those, but Dennis, you don't mod your game. So what do you vote in this category, or do you?
I do not.
Okay. So no.
Damn you, Dennis.
I do have mods in the Godzilla, but I don't vote in this category.
Okay.
Now, why is that, Dennis? Tell us why you don't do that. Why
I don't do what?
Vote in this category.
Vote in that category.
I don't agree with the category existing.
Okay.
I think it's too skewed as a based off of which games are the most sold. So I don't. I feel nothing with it. It's nothing personal against mod makers. It's just I usually buy what mods I don't think are going to be too hard to install and are cheap. So like I have the marquee stuff from Measle Mods for Godzilla. I did a couple of those. It took like an hour to do them. That was long enough.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of great mods, but to me, this is too much based off of whoever did something for a really popular game is going to get it, and I feel nothing with it.
Sure.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made there.
This
but I'm not saying my way's right. I'm just saying that's why I don't appreciate the category, so I don't do it.
This thing, I've interacted with this. Neil McRae had one on his James Bond. It replaces the plunger with a DB5 shooter, a shifter knob, and the shifter knob flips open, and there's a button on the inside, and if you hit the button, it actually will auto launch the ball. It's pretty slick. it's really very slick. I know Stumbler also has a Area 51 mod that he has created. This Rick and Morty Jerry ramp is a really controversial thing where it adds an extra shot. It takes out the Jerry stand-up target and makes like a ramp kind of shot to the left.
They need to do that for Led Zeppelin Pro.
Yeah. I've seen the whoop. Yeah. There's a lot in here. There's Pinmonk. Pinmonk's great at what he does, and I like his metal. The metal flipper fans are really pretty cool. There's a lot
Here's
in this one.
Yeah, and here's the other thing that I think, not to go back on this again, why I think the Drake building takes it. I'll tell you what he did that none of these guys did, or at least I don't think. His YouTube video is so good in terms of how to install this thing, because like you said, Joel, you get this thing and you're so intimidated by it because you're like, how the hell am I going to get the most central mech in the damn game out? I'm gonna ruin my $10,000 machine by doing this. It's terrifying. And I've done all these mods, right? And I'm Joel and I are terrified of this thing. He makes it so easy and straightforward in his YouTube video, which is I think over an hour long.
Yeah.
It took me about 2.5 hours. It would have taken me probably 5 hours just by looking at instructions on a PDF if he had done it. And so I think he was very smart in doing that video because it is shockingly straightforward how to get that thing out and put all the stuff on and put it back in. I would say even easier than all the Stumbler mods almost,
Sure.
It took a long time, but all those damn Stumbler mods took multiple hours as well to get in and out.
There's no. Yeah,
you could do this one, Dennis, no problem. I'm gonna say
it's pretty cool.
You could do this, yeah.
Mike,
I don't want to spend the money.
Mike, you don't mod a ton.
It is shockingly expensive.
I'm similar to Dennis. I don't spend a whole lot of money on mods. Like I said, the only big mod I have was that Leor mod for the turtles, the little button cover.
Yeah,
that's the only mod. The only major mod I've ever really bought. I buy little things like colored rubber, flipper toppers.
I like little signs and stuff.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I don't like the big 3D printed stuff a lot of the time. I just like subtle little mods. That's it. So it would be hard for me to vote in that category.
So do what you want on that. I'll shill the heck out of those though, because I really enjoy those mods. Those were really fun mods.
And I think when they're done well, because I think when you see a 3D printed or a molded plastic mod that has shading and seems hand painted, and it really, I think, enhances the look and feel of that machine. The way I would have, if money was no object, you almost feel like this is the way Stern, should have made this game. If bomb wasn't part of the equation to getting it built. Anyway, that's just me.
Yep. I feel you. Favorite pinball location? Do what you want there. Favorite pinball convention? Same thing. Pinball topper. This is going to be another interesting one. Yeah. Godzilla pinball topper, have that if you want to link in the mode. It's pretty great. Labyrinth topper is pretty incredible. It looks like they just straight up took up Muppets heads and put it on it. It looks really, really good in person. Godfather topper, we talked about that. All the coils. Scooby-Doo toil is just plastic, but it is well done. And then these Twilight Zones.
I saw that Twilight Zone, the Pedretti one at my friend's house on the weekend. He had one, a little pinball that moves around the thing, and it's got a bunch of little moving mechs and stuff, which is really neat.
No, that's the Twilight Zone topper by Electric Playground. Yeah,
it's the Electric Playground.
I don't know the one by
Pedretti
right. Gaming. This Venom silhouette is pretty basic. Toy Story is pretty simple. The CE one's a lot better. Bond topper is decent in person. It is just lights though. Queen topper, I've seen that. This one, honestly, the Platinum Edition is just a piece of plastic. This one though is impressive in a small room. The CE one has 2 displays and a laser projector, which adds a lot to it. So I think I personally would be, and then the Electric Playground one, I personally would probably be between the Labyrinth, Godzilla by Stern, and the Elton John CE. I think that's where I'm at on those. Homebrew, you really got to play them. you're gonna have to go through that and pick those things. But yeah, we've gone 10 minutes over, so I think it's time to probably wrap it up. What I will say real quick, if there's any truth behind this black and white edition for the 70th of Godzilla, I don't know how I feel about it. I really liked how the Bloodsucker or the Kiss Blood Red, whatever edition of Elvira looked. I don't know blue though. Would you go green? I don't know. I just have no idea how this would look. And it's either going to be something that can be completely turned off by, like, or it may be really good looking.
Was that a leak that came out, Joel?
That's a rumor.
Yeah.
That this idea of they may have another edition at some point, the 70th edition, that we've talked about that. I think it makes sense. The 70th anniversary of Godzilla's next year. But are they just like, obviously they did a new art package for Jurassic Park, but are they going to go drastic here and go black? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it yet. And then the other last little thing I want to talk about, this is the rumor that apparently CGC has lost the ability or the rights to make Bally Williams games. I don't know if that means new games. I don't know. I know they're not done with all their Cactus Canyons. I don't think they're going to be done by the end of the year. But does that mean that CGC still will have the ability to make Cactus Canyon or Medieval Madness or Attack from Mars or Monster Bash again, but no more out of them?
Well, it does somebody say else. Here, if you read below the update, in the quotes there, Chicago Gaming continues to be a strong partner and many more years with CGC and more titles as well.
Well, so Planetary Pinball is who owns the rights to all these games, and they're the ones that are licensing Pedretti Gaming to do Whirlwind, or licensing them to do. So there's nothing stopping Planetary Pinball from licensing to other companies. So I don't know if that means they're just done, or if there's another company that's going to throw their hat in the ring of they also want to do full-on remakes of games. But
yeah, that would be the third company.
I'm all in. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I do think CGC makes incredible games. The build quality I have on my Cactus Canyon here, I freaking love. I really do love that game and how it's built. They're just so freaking slow. So if somebody else wants to start making games too, let's go. I just hope they do it well. Because the rumor is it's going to be Twilight Zone, and that's such a beloved game that if whoever's going to be new to this, don't mess it up. Just make sure you're making a good game and well built and all that stuff. So that's kind of a wait and see thing, but I do think it is relatively big news if there's truth to that. So, but yeah, I think that's about it. I think we can go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully that was entertaining. Lloyd's here. Yeah, Planetary Pinball doesn't own them. They have license rights. So Lloyd is currently, he does all the tech support for Planetary Pinball. So he actually does tech support on all the CGC games. So Lloyd, I'm very interested to see what this means for you. If that means
Lloyd, which company is going to do the new remake?
Yeah, just go ahead and tell us. Yeah, Lloyd, spill. Yeah,
why not?
But no, Lloyd's the man. He is incredibly helpful.
He will be when he tells us.
Incredibly helpful on Pinside as well, and
do it.
Always has the smiley face. Always has the smiley face when he posts, which is awesome. So, Scientific Games, or now their new identity known as William Rights, owns the Williams rights. Oh,
yeah,
got it.
But that's been true forever.
Got it. All right, well, let's go ahead and plug it up. We'll go opposite. So, Mike, go ahead and go first.
Thanks for having me. A great chat. I hope everyone had fun. You can check me out, us out at Pinballers on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff.
For sure. Dennis.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was really interesting to go through the ballot. Dennis, I co-host over on the Pinball Show and also over on Eclectic Gamers Podcast. So I usually have a podcast come out each week.
Yep. And support him on Patreon for both Eclectic Gamers and the Pinball Show, and check out his YouTube channel, Watches with Dennis, if you like watches. Thank you, Dennis. Thanks for being here. Craig, go for it.
You can catch me on the Pinball Show with Zach and Dennis, where I do the Top Stories news segment, and right here with Joel occasionally on Flipping Out with Friends. So thanks, Joel, for having having me today again, and thanks, chat, for being a part of this and tuning in as they often do to watch this stream, which has been fantastic. So
Yeah, absolutely.
safe and happy holidays to everybody.
Yes. And I'm Joel. We just recently did a Triple Drain episode with Loser Kids. That was a fun conversation, catching up on everything there. Feel free to vote in the TWIPYs if you want. Obviously, if you think we're idiots and we picked all the wrong games, then pick the right ones. Vote for whoever you want. Have a good time. And yeah, this is the Flipping Out stream. We do it every Wednesday night. If you're watching this after the fact, comment, like, subscribe, all those things. But everybody have a great, happy holidays. Enjoy the hobby. And I think that's about it. I think that's all I got. So next week we'll I don't know what we're doing. I do have another game. I might be streaming that. Otherwise, maybe another chatting stream. We will see. But Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a happy holidays, and we will see everybody next week. So
Merry Christmas.
Right. Bye.